Dan Bilzerian, once dubbed the king of Instagram, built his online image around guns, women, and money, but his real-life track record is much darker. He's been sued for tossing an adult film actress off a roof and shattering her foot, allegedly kicked a woman in the face during a nightclub brawl, and was arrested on bomb-making charges after causing an open fire in Nevada. He also suffered 2 heart attacks before the age of 28, reportedly triggered by a cocktail of drugs including cocaine, ecstasy, and Viagra taken during non-stop parties. In interviews, he's admitted to nearly dying multiple times from drug overdoses and claims his heart had temporarily stopped at least once. He was present during the 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting, where he fled the scene, returned to film bodies, and bizarrely asked police for a gun. On the business front, his company Ignite faced financial scrutiny as he sued his own father over alleged mismanagement tied to a $180 million fraud case. Today, Bilzerian lives in relative obscurity compared to his peak fame, his story now seen by many as proof that money, fame, and indulgence don't always add up to a perfect life. Morbid Facts, Part 681. In 2008, 24-year-old real estate agent Lindsay Buziak was lured to a home in British Columbia by a mysterious couple using fake names and a prepaid burner phone. The woman who contacted her spoke with a strange fake-sounding accent and insisted that they were in a rush to buy $1 million home, but said they would only deal with Lindsay even though she was a newer agent. The call made her uneasy, and she confided in friends and family that something felt off. Out of caution, she asked her boyfriend to be nearby during the showing. But as soon as she entered the home with the supposed clients, she was brutally stabbed over 40 times. There were no signs of robbery or sexual assault, and nothing was damaged. Lindsay's boyfriend arrived minutes later and found her dying upstairs, but the killers had vanished. The burner phone used to set up the meeting was deactivated immediately after the murder. Despite public pleas, heavy media coverage, and theories ranging from drug-related retaliation to a personal hit, Lindsay's case still remains unsolved. Morbid Facts, Part 498. In 2017, a 10-year-old Australian boy named Matthew Mitchell was bitten by the highly venomous funnel web spider. He was rushed to the hospital while experiencing life-threatening symptoms and was given 12 vials of antivenom, the largest dosage ever administered. The boy made a full recovery, and the spider that bit him is now part of the venom milking program that produces the antivenom. Isadora Duncan was one of the most famous dancers of the early 1900s who is often credited with creating modern dance. But after leaving a show in 1927, her trademark long scarf got caught in the wheel axle of her new convertible. Her neck was immediately broken, and she was declared dead on arrival at the hospital. In Buenos Aires in 1988, a poodle suddenly fell from an apartment balcony and landed on the head of a 75-year-old woman, killing her and the dog instantly. Just then, another lady who witnessed the strange incident from the middle of the road continued to stand there in bewilderment, resulting in her being fatally struck by a passing bus. Upon witnessing both events, an elderly man then died of a heart attack out of shock. All of this chaos reportedly happened in less than a minute. Joey Jordison was the founding drummer of Slipknot and one of the most influential figures in modern metal, known for his blistering speed, chaotic precision, and aggressive stage presence. He was instrumental in writing much of the band's early music and helped define their sound during their rise to fame. But in 2013, fans were shocked when he was suddenly fired from the band without explanation. Years later, Jordison revealed he had been silently battling transverse myelitis, a rare neurological disorder that left him temporarily unable to walk or play drums. Despite recovering and launching new projects, he never returned to Slipknot. On July 26, 2021, Jordison died in his sleep at just 46 years old, and no official cause of death was ever made public. In July of 2025, 44-year-old Thawisak Namwangsa was found dead in his bedroom after reportedly surviving for nearly a month on nothing but beer. Over 100 empty bottles surrounded his body, forming a narrow path to his bed. He had refused food and water following a bitter divorce, and is believed to have suffered a fatal seizure before paramedics could reach him. Cop killer Donald Eugene Webb was on the FBI's most wanted list for more than 25 years, longer than anyone else at the time, and was never captured. It was later discovered that his wife had been hiding him inside a secret room in her home for nearly 2 decades, and buried him in her backyard after he died from a stroke. These disturbing facts will completely shatter your perception of time. Joe Biden was born closer to Abe Lincoln's presidency than to his own. If someone born today were sworn in at age 78, the same age Biden was, they would become president in the year 2106. When the microchip was invented in 1958, Belgium was still displaying people from the Congo in human zoos. T-Rex lived closer in time to humans than to the Stegosaurus. Jack the Ripper was actively murdering people, Van Gogh painted Starry Night, the Eiffel Tower was completed, and Nintendo was founded, all in the year 1889. The 10th U.S. President, John Tyler, who was born in 1790, has grandchildren that are still alive today. The last widow of a Civil War veteran just died in 2020. 17-year-old Helen Jackson married 93-year-old James Bolin in 1936 so that she could claim his military pension after he died. And lastly, there are more slaves today than at any point in the history of the world. Morbid Facts, Part 497. In 2018, an English woman was drinking out of a glass with a metal straw when she suddenly fell with the drink in her hand. Tragically, she landed directly on the straw, which punctured her eye socket and went through her brain, killing her almost instantly. For 4 decades, Walter Freeman, the man who made lobotomies popular, had personally performed as many as 4,000 lobotomies on patients as young as 12, despite never being professionally trained to perform surgeries. At least 100 of his patients died from cerebral hemorrhaging. For many years, Beethoven kept his hearing loss a secret since he was afraid that revealing his deafness would ruin his career. He once wrote a note to his brother that he never sent, confessing that he'd been completely deaf since the age of 40, and explaining that it had an immense impact on his social life. Since many people assumed he was antisocial, Beethoven longed for human contact but became a recluse out of shame. All of this resulted in severe depression and made the composer contemplate taking his own life.